Hello and welcome. Glad to have you join us on the program. This is where you get first-hand information about latest happenings and topical issues in the insurance industry. I am Jennifer Obidiebube. This week, we join Faith and her guest on a town hall as they discuss standard of professionalism in the insurance industry. Please take a listen.
Yes, there should be competition in business, but the competition doesn't mean that you have to start cutting rates, doing the under the table, under the chair. Try to be straightforward.
Also on this edition, we will bring you highlights of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, CITN, second birthday lecture in honor of Chief David Ajibola Olorunleke, the doyen of taxation profession in Nigeria. The event took place recently at the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs, Victoria Island. And then, of course, our industry icons. All these and more are what we have on the lineup for your viewing pleasure this week. So sit back and enjoy it. Details after this message from our sponsors. Please stay with us.
Your anchor as insurance, fire protect, insurance, safety on wheels, insurance, all-round guarantor.
Insurance protects your business. Take advantage of cargo, hull, liability, freight, and other marine insurance policies for the maritime sector. Are you an owner of private or commercial vehicles? It is compulsory that you take the minimum insurance to protect other road users and their properties. Fire insurance policy is compulsory for all owners of schools, hospitals, hotels, malls, and other public buildings. The Insurance Act of 2003 mandates you to take fire insurance policies. Be on the right side of the law. Protect your businesses and assets. Visit any insurance broker or company today to get the right policy for you and your business. This message is from the Nigerian Insurers Association, NIA.
Express yourself. Get ready to vent again in our no-holds-barred session at the 2016 Almond Insurance Consumers Forum, holding on October 26, 2016, inside the main hall of Lagoon Restaurant, 1C, Ozumbambadiwe Street, Victoria Island, Lagos. Chairman of the occasion, Reverend Olushola Ladipo Ajayi, Group Managing Director, Lasako Assurance PLC. Guest speaker, Mr. Alex Chidi Anameje, Consultant, Corporate Skills Bridge Limited. Discussant, Mr. Jide Orimolade, Managing Director, Law Union and Rock Insurance PLC. Event starts at 9 a.m. prompt. For inquiries, please call 0803-335-7879 or 0909-685-2685. Email almondproduction@gmail.com. Admission is free. 2016 Almond Insurance Consumers Forum. Don't miss it. This event is supported by
All right, welcome back. It's a very warm welcome to you. It's a pleasure to have you join us on the Insurance Industry Town Hall. My name is Faith Wade, your regular host. Today we'll be looking at a very topical issue for younger practitioners in the insurance industry. This topic is probably a sore point for them, but for the gentlemen or gentle daddies who've gathered in the studio, they represent the voice of wisdom, and that's the reason we brought them here today to look at this very important topic. I'm talking about standard of professionalism in the Nigerian insurance industry. I'm going to start by way of introduction from my immediate right. I have Mr. Amos Adeoye Falade, who is a managing consultant, AA Financial Planning Services Limited. For those who may not know, Mr. Falade was a former General Manager and Chief Executive Officer of Guardian Express Assurance Limited. He was also a former member of the Governing Council of the Nigerian Insurers Association, NIA, and he's a chartered stockbroker. He's actually an authorized dealer clerk at the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Thank you so very much for joining me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Turning to my immediate left, I have we are used to calling him Dr. AK. We have Dr. AK, Dr. A. Kehinde Oniwinde, who is the chairman, Alliance Trust Investment Limited. He's also a past president of the Chartered Insurance Institute of Nigeria, CII. Thank you so very much, sir, for joining us on the program. And to my far left is my neighbor and my daddy. I have Mr. Adeyemo Adejumo, who is from A&E Integrated Services. Mr. Adeyemo Adejumo is also a past president of the Chartered Insurance Institute of Nigeria and the former managing director of Continental Reinsurance PLC. Thank you so very much, sir.
Thank you so much, Faith.
Once again, thank you so very much, my daddies, for joining me on the site. Okay, let me start by asking if you are to compare the insurance industry of today with the way the industry was in the 70s, in the 80s, and even in the 90s, what would you say has changed significantly? Let me start with Doctor.
Just before 1970, I happened to start work with Royal Exchange Assurance. At that time, we had Europeans who really taught us insurance. And everything was done manually. You want to really prepare an endorsement, you do it manually. You want to prepare accounts, you do it manually. Whatever you want to do in insurance at that time, you do it manually. But things were moving well. Take for instance, if you want to buy insurance, an insurance policy, you need to be given a form to fill, wherein you need to disclose all the material facts that will influence the mind of the underwriter, somebody that wants to accept your proposal. And then when you disclose this information, the person that wants to grant you cover will be able to say, oh yes, we can grant cover at a particular premium. Or we may not even want to grant you cover. Or if we want to grant you cover, we have to increase the premium. Material facts are facts that will influence the mind of the underwriter to accept. But nowadays, I believe what we are seeing, you just need to collect a slip, an ordinary slip, and take it to the underwriter and say, now look, this is what I have. And that one is not enough. It's better we do what is right to make sure that we are not missing the road.
Okay, Mr. Adejo.
A lot of things have changed. Shareholding structure has changed. These days we have foreign investors coming into the companies, and because of the foreign investors coming into the company, board structure has also changed. Corporate governance is stronger in many of our companies. This has also led to the strengthening of the supervisory authority in looking after the affairs of our companies and making supervision more dynamic than it has always been. And because of that, you find out that market size too, from 70 to date, has really grown bigger. The outreach has improved. Our marketing strategies are far better. Younger ones are coming into the industry, and efforts are being made to continue to train them so that they can be able to cope with the dynamism of the market, which is a global kind of structure, unlike in the past. Now Nigerians cannot see themselves operating within Nigeria because of all these changes. They have to operate in the global market and continue to see how the Nigerian insurance market not only relevant in Nigeria, but relevant all over the world. So those are the critical changes that has come into the system.
Okay, Mr. Faladay.
Well, the nature of the risks that insurance companies are managing now has completely changed from what they used to be in the 70s. And also, competition is more keen now than then. And of course, that has also created some challenges for underwriters in terms of risk assessment and pricing of such risks. And of course, pricing is also affecting the bottom line of most of the companies, especially with keen competition. Companies want to ensure they get businesses at prices that may not even be in the interest of all the stakeholders within the industry.
Okay, we are actually going to come to that. Doctor described a very important factor in when it comes to underwriting insurance business. You say way back then, the underwriter will look at the information presented to him, sure, and it was based on that information he will say, okay, I want to take on this risk, or I don't want to grant cover for this risk. We don't see much of that these days. What we see is, who was here last year? What was the rate you were charged? We are ready to reduce it to this level. Now, what would you say is responsible for the current trend we're seeing in the insurance industry today?
Well, I also believe that in any business you are doing, there must be change. Usually you want to change for better. In the olden days, when I said you were relying on what you are doing manually, but nowadays, information technology are certain that whatever you do everything is automated and makes the job to be done quickly than before. In those days, you have to start looking at, you have to do what we call writing. It is hereby declared and agreed. You have to write it yourself. You have it in your head. But now, you just press the button. Whatever you want comes. That's technology, which suits the business of this day. But somebody talked about corporate governance. Corporate governance is coming out just at present. But it has been there before. And what I would say about corporate governance before was that it was being referred to as general management principles, where you manage well. Corporate governance is where you do the right thing and the best thing at a time. But again, you have to consider the moral standard in anything you are doing, whether underwriting, training, education, and all sort of things. Moral standard is very important. In our days, you won't hear of anything like corruption. In fact, it was only in the 90s that we started hearing about corruption, and things were done properly at that time. When corruption sets in, it brings you back. So what we really need to do is to make sure that we examine what we were doing in the past, how we were doing it, and compare to how we are doing it right now, and then try to make adjustments, especially in underwriting. There shouldn't be, for instance, there shouldn't be anything like rate cutting. Rate cutting. Which is common. Competition, as somebody said. Yes, there should be competition in business, but the competition doesn't mean that you have to start cutting rates, doing the under the table, under the chair. Try to be straightforward. Okay, sir, sorry to come in. When we talk about competition, yes, I've always wanted to ask, I don't know how it was then. Yeah. In the 70s, in the 80s, in the insurance industry, yes, was there no competition? Not fierce competition. There was competition. Okay. I mean, then second part of the question, is it possible for this market to actually compete without having to focus on pricing?
Definitely yes. Definitely yes. The weakest point of competition is pricing. The best way to compete is to show your services. If you showcase your services and your clients are satisfied with your service, they will prefer to patronize you than somebody offering you cheaper price. Mark you, cheaper price. Anything that is cheap has a higher risk than the one you are paying to get the value for. So if you get a cheaper policy, when you have a claim, you are unable to get your claim, that's what you bargain for. But if you get a good quality service, when you have a claim, they will be up to your expectation, and they will pay your claim on time. That's a better service. So in the market, we can compete without really cutting the price.
Okay, now, Mr. Falade, I've heard people say that part of the reason why we hear about rate cutting in the Nigerian insurance market is because we have too many players, too many underwriters chasing too few businesses or very few available businesses. Is that really correct?
Well, to me, that statement is not correct. If you look at the size of Nigeria and the number of underwriting companies in this country, we don't have enough companies. The opportunity is there. What I see is that companies have restricted themselves, right? They put a kind of lead on what they can do. They don't concentrate on market development, right? So the fact that this country presents a lot of opportunities makes it possible for companies, the number of companies we have in the country, to operate profitably without resorting to cutting rates. As Mr. Adeyemo said, Mr. Adejumo said, you see, the quality of service a company gives will assist the company in promoting its service, right?
Yeah.
Because rate cutting, if you look at the elements of the premium companies charge, cost is one element.
Yes.
If you can reduce marketing costs, it's possible to reduce marketing costs if you provide quality service to your customers. They become your clients, and they will be the one who will be selling for you. That way, you'll be able to reduce your marketing cost, right? And provide quality service without necessarily undercutting rates. Yes. So the issue is not the number of companies in the country. Given the size of the country, the population, the resources, the important thing is companies should address themselves to developing the market. For instance, in the life industry, a country with a population of close to 180 million, with how many life underwriters? Just about 27 companies underwriting life. Those companies have not been able to exploit up to 1% of the population of this country. Whereas in smaller countries, companies have been able to exploit far more than 50-70% of the population.
Alright, welcome back and thank you for joining us. We now move on to the highlights of CITN's second birthday lecture in honor of Chief Olorunleke. The topic of the lecture was Professionalization of Tax Administration in Nigeria, a case for critical reforms.
The Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, CITN, recently put together the second annual lecture to celebrate the 78th birthday of Chief David Ajibola Olorunleke, the doyen of taxation profession in Nigeria, at the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs, Kofo Abayomi. The topic was Professionalization of Tax Administration in Nigeria, a case for critical reforms. Guest lecturer was Dr. Mark Abani, founder and CEO, MSCA Projects. Speaking on the topic, Dr. Abani said that there is need for a taxpayer advocacy service in Nigeria.
Other areas requiring professional reform, including supporting voluntary compliance, happy tax. A happy taxpayer, voluntary compliance is far cheaper and far more effective than going through all of the place. Nigeria ranks at 181 on the ease of paying your taxes. It's remarkable. We think it's easy to pay your tax. Even if I wake up one morning and I decide I want to pay my tax in advance, how easy for me to go and say, okay, I know at the end of the year I'm going to have a big tax bill. Can I go and pay a little money now, almost convert myself into a self-PAYE? It's not easy. And if you make it easy for people to pay in installments, it always is much easier overall. In 2008, when there was a crisis, I was actually head of debt management in the UK, and we set up a business support helpline. We made massive changes just by making it easy to pay.
Leading the discussion was Mrs. Morenike Babington Ashaye, founder and managing director of City Practitioners Limited. In her submission, Mrs. Ashaye stated that tax administrators are not supposed to side anyone.
You don't say because you want money for the government and then you stress a taxpayer. If this taxpayer drop dead, that is minus for us as tax administrator. Therefore, it is very important that tax administration should be taken carefully. We are in between the government and the taxpayer, and you are not supposed to side anybody. You are not supposed to collect more for the government, and you are not supposed to take more from the taxpayer. Look at the law, apply the law.
Other discussants were Chief Mrs. Iyamide Gafar, Managing Partner, Babatunde Gafar and Co. Responding, the celebrants took time to thank the chairman and the guest speaker. There is no doubt that tax administration in Nigeria remains crucible of policy directions and legislation upon which they rely. Where policies are non-existent to give impetus to tax legislations, it besets the system with very poor implementation of the tax laws, with tax administrators hard-pressed as to how to effectively administer taxes.
Your Anchor insurance, fire protector, insurance, safety on wheels, insurance, all-round guarantor.
Insurance protects your business. Take advantage of cargo, hull, liability, freight, and other marine insurance policies for the maritime sector. Are you an owner of private or commercial vehicles? It is compulsory that you take the minimum insurance to protect other road users and their properties. Fire insurance policy is compulsory for all owners of schools, hospitals, hotels, malls, and other public buildings. The Insurance Act of 2003 mandates you to take fire insurance policies. Be on the right side of the law. Protect your businesses and assets. Visit any insurance broker or company today to get the right policy for you and your business.
Safety on wheels, insurance, all-round guarantor.
This message is from the Nigerian Insurers Association, NIA.
And that's our program this week. I do hope you are gearing up to attend our 2016 Insurance Consumers Forum, a platform for insurance consumers. Date is 26th of October. Venue, Lagoon Restaurant, and time is 9 a.m. For further inquiries on this and more, please contact us on the numbers showing on your screen right now. And you can reach us via our email address also showing on your screen right about now. Do visit our website, almondreports.com, like us on our Facebook page, Almond Finance and Wealth Reports, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Almond Reports TV. That is Almond Space Reports TV together. Don't forget to join us every Wednesday for our Pidgin English program, Waiting Insurance. They do serve airing live on Niger FM 102.7 by 9:45 a.m. You can also reach us on WhatsApp on 080-335-7879 and follow us on Twitter at Madam Insurance. This program also airs on BCOS television every Thursday at 6 p.m. for those in Ibadan and environs. My name is Jennifer Obidie Bube. Many thanks for being a part of today's program. See you again.